right now. Mego, hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good win last night.
Absolutely. Exciting game. A little more exciting than you'd like it to be with the way that the Celtics have played against the Knicks all season, but it was a fun one.
Would have preferred that it did not get to overtime.
I know. I was trying to go to bed.
Yeah.
Selfishly.
Same. We were talking earlier about Jaylen Brown and not his best showing last night. And I, at the start of the show this morning, said I had some concern that you may not be able to count on him like you have in the past in the playoffs. Do you feel the same concern or no?
Of course I'm concerned. He's the second best player on the team. He was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP last year and the Finals MVP last year, and he doesn't look right. If you watched last night, the knee doesn't look right. He looks like he's dealing with a lot of pain, and I think he should sit the final 3 games. Mm-hmm. Probably was the plan if you're looking at what they did with Jason and Jaylen last year, that he would sit those games against the Hornets this weekend anyway, but you've got the most important games of the year coming up in just a couple months. Hopefully you're still in it past the first couple rounds, and you need Jaylen Brown in those rounds.
Why is he even playing now? Is that
right?
Is that because he wants to get to 65 and Joe Mazzulla is acquiescing?
It's hard to say if you take him at face value, and that's really all we can do because he's spoken on it. He says that it's not about all NBA, which has the 65-game minimum. It's not about any other kind of incentive. He's just trying to power through an injury. I think most injuries, we know when we watch, they don't tend to get better without rest. Mm-hmm. You don't play through them. So maybe part of it is just that he's trying to see what his pain tolerance is, because the most that we know about it is that it's a bone bruise. So again, if it was my choice, I'd say just sit him through these games, make sure that he's totally right for the playoffs. But he's told us what he's feeling, and
we discussed the $2 million bonus or whatever that's hanging out there on All NBA. If that's,
I don't know,
is that the case for him? Is there?
I was just looking over his contract numbers this morning, and he used to have incentives that were tied to 65-game minimum. He's already got his Supermax, which is tied to the All-NBA status that he got 2 seasons ago. So, I mean, there may be some extracurricular on the margin, couple $1 million, but I didn't see any in his contract details that I looked at.
Yeah.
But if he is trying, I think if he's trying to gauge his pain threshold, I think he can kind of, he knows if it's a bone bruise and he knows where he is, he should know, okay, the only real way I can heal that is just rest and icing it up to kind of hopefully that pain does go away. But he said he's been playing with this pain and it's bothering him. So I'm a little concerned. I'm yo, just shut it down then.
That's what I'm saying, Wiggy. I think that the playoffs are clearly what's most important for this team. Getting back to the finals, giving yourself the best shot. And the best shot is with Jaylen Brown feeling as good as he possibly can. He talks about his warrior mentality, and he's a really prideful guy. And I do believe, my opinion, is that that's what the bulk of what he's playing for is. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you heard Kristaps Porzingis after the game last night. He says Jaylen's a smart guy. He knows kind of what he has to do, and nobody has more experience with trying to play through injuries and figure out that balance than Kristaps Porzingis.
On the positive side of things, he looks great. He looked great last night.
Porzingis looks awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. It's kind of funny highlight last night. He was talking post-game about how he's messed with his efficiency, trying to see with his 3-pointers, because he shoots so deep. He shoots down at the logo. He has tried back when he was with Washington, getting closer to the 3-point line and shooting from there. And with his personal shooting coach, he's like, it doesn't really make a difference with my efficiency. So why don't I just kick it from almost half court and make the defense deal with that?
Twice last
He's just
night.
such a fun guy to have on the team.
Just going back to the Jaylen thing for a minute, though, because I know that he said that, no, the 65 games does not play into why he's playing. And if he wants to try out the knee and see his pain tolerance, why wouldn't it be less time? It just seems like if he's hitting 22 minutes in a game, then he's trying to get over that 20-minute mark to make that game count. If you want to try out the knee and see what your pain tolerance is, why not just play 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Why are you getting to that point? That's when you start to be like, is he telling the truth there about the 65 games?
So if you listen to Joe Mazzulla last night, he said obviously Jaylen sat through the later parts of the game and overtime and said that that's because we saw what we needed to see from him. I don't know if the exercise science people behind the scenes have some kind of minutes idea of what they can see with his pain tolerance. That stuff is all very much behind closed doors. So I don't know.
But you know
like,
how
again,
it looks.
Of course.
Yeah.
And Jaylen doesn't look like himself. Again, this is the guy who was the finals MVP last year. You need him to be good. He is so vital.
Can you win the whole thing without him being 100%?
Depends what percentage you're talking about there. And again, who you see in the finals. If you're seeing Oklahoma City in the finals, you want Jaylen at 80% at least.
Yeah, right.
And the thing about Jaylen is his style of play is so physical. I don't know if you guys watched the latest episode of Celtic City.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about Jaylen Brown when they were going to Larry Bird. And I'm not trying to compare Jaylen Brown and Larry Bird, so don't get all crazy.
Right.
But Larry, them talking about, hey, would he go back and be diving for loose balls? Would he be falling on his back? Would he be throwing himself out there if he knew he would have a couple more years, if his career would be a little bit longer and he wasn't going to the hospital to get that crazy stretched out traction thing?
Yeah.
And they said, no, he wouldn't. That's Jaylen, right? Like, Jaylen plays a really physical style of game with the slam dunks, with how explosive he is. And I don't know if you don't have him at 80%, like, can he bring that to the court? I think that's why it's so important for him to be healthy.
What do you think of Celtic City so far? I love it.
It's awesome. I've loved the whole chunk. I think they're doing a really good job with these episodes where when you have the stuff that's tough to watch, whether it's social issues that are gone through the history of the city or the death of Len Bias and then the gradual breakdown of Kevin McHale and Larry Bird and the glory days kind of fading, but then having these like really entertaining, buoyant moments in the middle of them, like the Detroit Pistons bad boys and Larry talking crap about them. It's very entertaining great.
It was great the way Larry handled the whole Isaiah Thomas thing. I thought it was awesome, and to hear from him reflecting back on it now was great. Like I get attacked for this sometimes, but to me in that genre, it's the best one that has been done as far as
the docuseries.
Yes,
that's what Chuck D said, and he's a huge Knicks fan, and he's been all over social media being like, "Sorry, everybody, this is the best docuseries of any sports." We haven't seen the full Netflix Clubhouse one yet, so
but it's better than The Last Dance.
Yeah,
and can we have something just quickly on the Netflix Clubhouse?
Yeah,
we all know the history of the Red Sox sucking. Does every single Red Sox related documentary have to do the precursor with 20 minutes on Babe Ruth and Bill Buckner? It's like, we got it.
Well,
can we just say that that's been established?
Well, audience recycles.
But I'm watching it. I'm like, how many times have we seen this exact story?
Yeah, but Netflix is trying to go after the younger audience.
Right,
so,
that might not know about it. But the interesting thing where I was more like watching Celtic City kind of felt was when Len Bias' mother talked about people still coming up to her, because I remember the Len Bias thing like it was yesterday in the what if, the biggest what if, even as a Celtics fan to this day, where when you have the conversations with people and you're like, man, you don't know what Len Bias, everybody was telling you what he was, and so that was the biggest thing to me and the takeaway. And then how they played out,
but also the brilliance of Red,
the forever dynasty that they had planned on,
and getting a guy, being able to manipulate trade wise to be able to get a guy like that. You win that group, that big three had won their 3 championships, and you're able to set yourself up for the future,
right?
If the unfortunate didn't happen, and same, they're going to get the Reggie Lewis next. Same with Reggie Lewis.
And the thing about it, so it was not only the what if of what he could been, and then they talked about how they had the little rap song about Len Bias and doing cocaine. That was something that really hit home to me, because I remember as a kid, I was like, ain't no way I'm doing cocaine, because look what it did to Len Bias.
Yeah.
So as a kid growing up in that time, that like kind of scared me straight in a sense. But that's always been, even because I know a lot of guys from like Maryland and the DC area, but that's always been like the biggest.
But what do you think? How many titles do you think they would have won with Len Bias and Reggie Lewis? Like another 3? Probably?
Yeah, it's based on we got to see a little bit of Reggie Lewis, but we never got to see Len Bias, right? And so we are like, all right, Reggie was heading to be great. Len Bias, they're saying, could have been Jordan.
Been better than Jordan.
Right. And so, excuse me. So we never got to see that. Yeah. And that was the interesting part.
You're all choked up.
I know, emotional.
Well, it's like, right. I mean, I was 11 years old.
In the Red Sox doc, they asked the LeBron Jordan question.
Yeah,
all the players are going
to it's LeBron because they're all under the age of 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was so explosive. Like when you see the highlights of Len Bias, he was so like explosive and he could do everything. It's one of those, I would say it's probably the biggest, and we said this, the biggest what if in all of sports.
I love Danny Ainge telling Red, like, why aren't we trading Larry Bird right now when he's a player? Right. It's like, look at all the guys we could get for him. Why aren't we trading McHale? And Danny being like, yeah, that's what I would have done. You saw it right then. Right. He's like plotting out his future of how to fleece everybody.
Also, could not agree with you more on your Kevin Costner social media take this week.
Okay. People got really mad about that.
They did?
Why, what'd you say?
I watched Draft Day over the weekend because I had never seen it. And Kevin Costner, I think, has one of the best sports movies of all time in Bull Durham. Love that movie. Perfect movie. And that movie, Draft Day, is so bad.
I love Draft Day.
It's so bad.
No, I love Draft Day.
Wiggy watched
Mego's
it.
Spot on. You never saw it?
I never saw
bad.
it.
It's horrendous.
Is it horrendous?
It's like
Wiggy
horrendous.
Wiggy went undrafted, so it's
Courtney,
intensive.
you
Fonte,
covered
no matter
the
what.
NFL.
I know.
Like, how can you watch what they try to make the war room on a draft day look like? They trade up for a quarterback and then they're like, well, we better get to work, getting to figure out who this kid is. And it's the day of the draft. And you're like, what?
Oh, is that
and then
bad?
they're calling around. They're like, his teammates didn't go to his birthday party. What's up with that? I was
It's not a good movie.
I was like, I'm glad I'm drinking watching this movie because it is
It's like number 3 on Netflix right now.
It's so dumb.
It is?
Yeah.
Why? Because of the draft?
It must
give
be,
me a
yeah.
break.
So it's just one of those, like, there was no, authenticity or realism to the movie.
And not only is it stupid, like the plot of it and the mechanics, like, it's just one thing to say, like, okay, it's fine if it's not accurate. It's a movie if it's not accurate to how the NFL draft works. But even the way that people talk to each other, they're like, good morning. By the way, I'm pregnant with your baby. Don't isolate that. Like, I'm pregnant. It's like, what? My father just died. And now I just buried my father last week. And now you're telling me you're pregnant with my baby. And you're like, what is this? There are soap operas on that are way more compelling than this.
Does the timing of the Michael Malone firing shock you?
Absolutely. How would it not? They had 3 games left. I think there was some writing on the wall. If you watch the Nuggets over the last couple games, the effort they were putting forward, team's a little checked out. So I think that it's like a huge gamble. Maybe they were going to part with him, the GM, in the offseason anyway. But they're trying to give a shot in the arm to a team that they think has still championship talent. And at the same time, it's like the biggest gamble you can take. It's the winningest coach in their franchise history, and they have 3 games left. It's crazy.
Do you think it affects the Joker in any way? Because he's so hard to read as a player.
It's the only coach that he's played for.
Right.
It's the only coach he's well up until this point. Well,
but how does he not, and because Greg brought this point up, which is right, if the Joker didn't want it to happen, then it wouldn't have happened.
I would agree with that, yeah.
So do you think there's like a little bit of the Joker that, and it's so, like I said, it's hard to read him as a player because he almost shows like no emotion, that where he's like,
do you think the Lakers could trade Bronny for him?
Curtis certainly clears the path for the Lakers if the
well,
Nuggets struggle in the playoffs.
oh,
I mean,
he's still got to get
We're
past
talking
Oklahoma
about how the
City.
Thunder would face against the Celtics in the finals. I think we just got to worry if the Celtics can beat the Lakers without Jaylen Brown.
No, I think the Celtics will be fine. It's whether or not the Lakers could get past Denver, Oklahoma City if they have to run into that juggernaut, or even a team like Houston.
Yeah.
Very well coached team.
Yeah, Ime's doing a great job down there.
Only coach
All
of
right.
the year.
He almost got to a fight with Steph Curry.
Great to see you. We're almost there. Almost
Next week,
playoff
we will
time.
be talking about the playoffs.
Thank
Who's
you.
it going to be in round one?
Yeah.
The Hawks, Orlando, powerhouse teams.
All right. That's Mego, our Celtics insider.